All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. It's Bill Duran, and it's Thursday at 5 p.m. On the West Coast, and it's time for Prop Live. Hooray!
Yay!
First and foremost, Google doesn't like my splitting software today, so we just have one camera. You'll have to use your imagination as we paint you word pictures for the stuff that we're talking about, unfortunately. But that's how it's going to be. Anyway, we have an awesome guest with us today. This is Mario from AAA Cosplay, also known as Arms, Armor, and Awesome. Hey, Mario. How's it going?
Hey, hello, everybody. Hey, Bill.
Mario is also a local Seattle area person. A buddy of mine. We roomed together at BlizzCon.
Woo! BlizzCon.
Talk all about BlizzCon in a little bit. And he was in the shop today working on some stuff, and I was like, hey, man, you want to be in the live stream? And he was like, sure.
Heck yeah. I mean, come on. It's a live stream. Why not?
So Mario and his wife, Alice, make really, really cool costumes. A lot of stuff from Blizzard-oriented things.
Yeah, it's kind of where we got our start at, so we stay true to our source.
Yep. And a bunch of stuff from everywhere, doing really, really cool stuff. So he's a wizard, and he'll be able to help me answer your questions today. But first, I want to talk about what Mario's been working on.
Yeah, all right. So let's see. We got BlizzCon coming up in T-minus 4 months or so. So for me and my wife, that's pretty much crunch time now.
Yep.
We always like to get planning and figure, hey, let's be done a month early, and then we can finish a week before the convention. So for this year, we both went kind of crazy. The wife is doing a Queen unit from StarCraft. Completely crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, a little bit original design, a little bit of inspiration, but it should be gorgeous. And she's doing her own thing. And this year, I got a chance to do the big costume. It was hers last year with the Angel. She did Ariel last year, so I went the opposite route, and I figured there's not enough villains who show up to BlizzCon. And we went completely different. We had the new Diablo III expansion come out this year, and I'm like, Urzael, this guy's awesome. Everybody runs into him. He's the first boss in the new Act 5 that you run into.
Here we go. I can do a screen share through the Hangout. So there you go.
So that was the wife last year. We went all on with that one, and she kind of used up most of the costuming budget. So no fault on her own. It was a gorgeous costume and beautifully executed.
Super, super cool. And I'm glad to see that Facebook thinks that I should own this Craftsman 16-inch variable speed scroll saw, even though I already own one. That's kind of weird.
Well, you looked for it at some point, therefore you need to buy another.
Let's look at some other stuff you guys have been working on. But which, by the way, if you guys are watching this, go over to Arms, Armor, and Awesome on Facebook or AAAcosplay.com to check out the rest of the stuff that they're working on. Including, what do you got here? These Spinity things.
All right, so if you see it over there on the side, so that's the actual picture of Urzael that I'm doing. He's a huge buff guy, rocking tons of armor, and he carries around a 6-ish foot long flaming dragon cannon. So unfortunately, the images are not terribly good to go off of, and there's not a lot of concept art, so I'm having kind of winged some of this, but those ribs you saw me there building are going to be, there's about 24 or 25 of them that will be part of the whole assembly. And internally lit, looks like there'll be a look of rolling fire inside. And yeah, it's going to be quite the intense build. I have about 30 amp hours of battery pack on my back to run the
right here.
Yeah, that right there. It's weighing in just shy of about 25 pounds worth of batteries. Yes, I know there are other options for batteries, and no, I can't afford them. So I went with the cheap but heavy options there. So they sit pretty close to the chest and on the back, so it not a big hindrance. I carried a tuba in high school band, so not the worst thing I've ever done.
Pretty cool.
There they are, molded and cast out, and then I just need 30 minutes per rib for the foam to set, times 24 ribs. Something like 14 straight hours of casting, and I'll be done with those.
Hooray!
Yay! So that's kind of what we've been up to the last couple of days.
Super cool. Let me see. How do I get our faces back? Oh, there we go.
Whoa! Yay.
Oh my goodness! Bring the other thing back.
That was probably the worst thing we could have done.
Cool. By the way, folks, if you're watching live, which we got a handful of people in the live room there, if you want to ask your questions live through the Hangout page, there's a way to do the Q&A app, and we'll answer your questions. And we have some from earlier today to answer as well. But first, I want to talk to you guys about my army, my Claptrap Army.
Woo!
I'm going to do this again. There we go. So Dragon Con is upon us, which you guys don't go to Dragon Con.
We kind of have to limit ourselves to 1 or 2 major events a year, and I think Dragon Con might be on the menu for next year, but pending funds and tax returns.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
But I'm going to Dragon Con, and I'm starting an army with my brother. We're building this Claptrap Army for all of these Claptrap puppets. And you can go join the Claptrap Army Dragon Con 2014 group on Facebook. If you want to participate, anyone is welcome. And I put together a video. See, we got people already building theirs. How cool is that? And painting them up and look really cool. Oh, my brother and I did a joust. Let's watch this real fast.
Yeah, because why not?
The yeah. And we jousted our Claptraps. So that's what we do on the weekend. But I also did on the same channel, Punish Props YouTube channel, somewhere down here. I have a link. There we go. I have a video on how I built mine. So if you're looking to build your own Claptrap puppet, then I got you covered. Go check that out. Boop. So there you go. That's what I've got going on right now. I'm also building a sniper rifle from Mass Effect, the M98 Widow. It's massive. It's right over there. I'm really excited about that. Get that done in the next couple of days. So, yeah. Cool. All right. Looks like we got some questions coming in.
Woo, questions.
And I am ready to answer them. So I'm going to just...
That's kind of what we're here for, so let's do this.
All right. Here we go. The first one from Mikhail, a regular in the old questionnaire space, wants to know, what is the best way to shape pink insulation foam? And more importantly, what's a good material to fill in gaps if you remove too much? He's going really, really slow because he's afraid of removing too much foam and having difficulty undoing it. That is tough. You can never put it back.
Yeah,
together.
It doesn't go back quite the same.
Yeah.
No.
I'll use for rough stuff. I'll use a big rasp sort of thing, or looks like a cheese grater, a micro plane or something like that. But then you can use a rake for sculpting. It's basically like a hacksaw blade that's been bent over, and you scrape the teeth across it to remove material. Files work pretty well. Sandpaper for finer detail type stuff. And you are sculpting is really what it is. What did you use for most of the sculpting on your ribs?
For almost all of it, a lot of it just comes down to a good marking on the material when you're actually marking it out. Take the Sharpie, draw on it, make sure you know where you want to cut down to. And if it's not enough, you can always go further, but don't get crazy. As far as cutting and shaping, I do almost all of mine handwork with a rasp, the same as Bill does. And then I just come in with a sanding block or some 60 or 80 grit sandpaper, and that tears through it just as fast. Now, that is a messy option. It is sandpaper. You're going to end up with lots of pink dust. Wear a mask, and do it somewhere where you can definitely use a vacuum.
Now, what did you use to cover your foam?
Well, I usually go with 2 options. It depends on what I'm doing with the foam and where it'll be in the costume. If it's not going to be a heavy wear-up place, maybe a shoulder, something that is not subject to a lot of damage, you can get a pretty darn good finish with just 220 grit sandpaper and gesso, paintable gesso. That works great. If it's going to be a wearable, something where it's going to take a possible hit, something that could be damaged, a sword, a shield, something of that nature, I favor either doing a coating on it, something like an Epsilon, which is an epoxy-based coating.
No, Epsilon will not eat away at the foam?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, cool.
That's the beautiful part about it is it was designed specifically for that reason. They intended it, from what I understand from the Smooth On folks, for outdoor display objects, like a giant cheeseburger on top of a sign.
Yeah.
That was what it was for. And it works beautifully. It's goes a long way. I bought a 1-gallon kit, and I don't know if you can page shift over. I did a Warcraft 3 Spellbreaker. And the shield that I built is just over 6 foot tall or so, and man, that thing is weighs in right about 4 pounds. So here you go, Bill shifted over there for us. So yeah, that shield altogether, hand carved pink foam, coated with Epsilon, weighs in 4 pounds. Beautiful piece.
Wonderful. That actually ties in. Alex here wanted to know what are some suggestions to build large props but sturdy, not 300 pounds, like great swords or large tower shields.
Hey, go figure, yeah.
So there you go. All pink insulation foam from the hardware store, and then a good coating with, in this case, you used Epsilon for that one?
Yeah, Epsilon. That was 2 coatings. I bought a 1-gallon kit. I currently have 3/4 of a gallon kit left. The stuff lasts forever. You're doing a very thin coat on it. And the best part about it is it will stick to vertical surfaces. It spreads like thick honey, which is just fantastic stuff.
This is it right here. Epsilon foam coating epoxy at smooth-on.com. I use that to cover all of my Draugr armor, and I like it a lot.
Yeah.
One of the great things about that is if you put enough coats on there, you have a nice base that you can build on. So if you did remove too much material, you could do some Bondo work on top of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. There you go. So good luck, Alex, with your large props, and thank you, Mikhail, for your question. This next one is from Jay Cosplay. Do either of you have any tips when it comes to making molds that any tips that we can pass on? Specifically, matrix molds. I've never made a matrix mold before, not yet, but soon. Let's see. Any materials you recommend, or just general tips, etc. What did you use to make the mold for your
for the
spine?
Oh, okay, for the ribs and the spine structure. I needed something that was very flexible, so I needed a good stretchable material, and these are not designed. I didn't build this to pass on, and I wasn't expecting anybody else to want one. So these are built purely for the purpose of making 20, and then they're going in the garbage. So I went with it's actually a spreadable or a brush-on urethane rubber, very similar to. That's actually right there. It was number 40. Easy Mix 40. There you go. So this stuff's fantastic. It's really high stretch. It elongates to something like 1,000%. So it's not going to pull, it's not going to stretch, but it's still good and strong. And I'm using an expanding foam, so it had to be strong enough to support the expanding foam and resist the expansion of it. The jacket itself is actually just good old Ultracal. It's a hand mix, stone, polystone, yeah. And that's just put on top to create the jacket that keeps everything locked in place.
Yep. A lot of times, if you make what's known as a box mold, you just have like a rectangular box around your mold that you're pouring, or with that kind of mold where it's more like it's similar to a matrix mold, where the mold is just sort of a thin layer of silicone, or in this case urethane, around the surface of your piece. And then to keep that in place, you make a rigid mother mold on top of it. Something like PlastiPaste is good for that, or fiberglass, or I've done it. I actually made one out of Bondo once.
You can do it if you got the time.
Yeah. So tips for mold making is to just dive in feet first and try it. Start with a one-piece mold, a one-part mold, let's say, like an emblem, like a flat emblem where the back doesn't matter. Gems are good for casting. Yeah. Go get some silicone. Silicone ain't cheap, but that's how you make molds. You can then get like a trial kit. Go to Smooth On and get a trial kit. A lot of times they'll sell like $20-$30, not that bad. Because you will probably mess up your first one, or the first 3 that you make, like I did. And you don't want to be $200 worth of Rebound 25 in the hole and find out that you really hate mold making.
Yeah, and you really want to do your research. The Smooth On folks, if you have a chance and you don't know what you're doing, if you feel completely lost and the internet has yielded no solutions, which is surprising, you can call Smooth on. They actually have a tech support line, and those guys are pretty helpful as long as you have some idea as to what you want out of the material. They can usually walk you towards the right stuff.
Yeah.
They're not going to be the cheapest, but I guarantee you get stuff that will do the job.
Yeah, they have seminars if you live anywhere near Pennsylvania. They do seminars, which is I haven't gone to one, but that would be a really cool option. They also have a crap load of videos.
Oh my God, so many videos.
Over here again. Just go to smoothon.com, click on videos and more, and you'll see they have a ton of really cool videos. Advanced mold making techniques, prop and special effects videos.
That's
Martha Stewart videos featuring Smoothon, I guess. Yeah.
The fact that there are 7 of those is actually kind of surprising.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff right there. Yeah, but check out all that stuff. But there's no replacement for experience. So get in there and try it out. There we go, from Jay Cosplay. Thank you very much for your question. All right, I'm going to grab some questions from the live Q&A app. So if you're watching live, feel free to ask some questions, because that's what we're here for. This one's from Chad. Any tips getting down or up the elevators in giant armor? I'll need the advice for DragonCon this year. Bribing the staff to use freight.
Wow,
freight
if you need the freight elevator.
I'm curious what he's thinking,
I mean, either you're doing an actual Transformer, or maybe a Big Daddy costume. I mean, I'm not really sure where you need the freight elevator for.
You definitely want a handler. Anyone that's your that you have as a friend that you trust very, very much, who is not in a costume, who can help you get around. That's going to be vital.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have to pay someone, they're not an actual handler.
No. Or, I mean, if it's a friend, pay them, but, in like booze or whatever later on
afterwards
that day,
at the bar. That's the appropriate payment.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be mandatory if you have a massive costume like that. I've heard of people getting to use the freight elevator and stuff, but I would call them before you ship your costume there, because it's not a guaranteed thing that you're going to get to use that stuff.
If you are seriously building a costume this large that you may need assistance in the elevator, talk to the folks at the hotel. I know a lot of times that not the guest elevator, but actually the housekeeping elevator is sometimes significantly larger because they have all the carts and stuff.
Yeah.
Talk to them. Sometimes that's an option too, and you won't have to face any crowds if you're using it.
Yep.
Granted, subject to availability of the hotel.
Yeah, but definitely just call the hotel before you drag your whole armor there. All right, good luck, Chad. I'm really excited to see what massive thing you bring to Dragon.
Yeah, good luck, man.
All right, Joseph wants to know, any recommendations for glue to attach things inside of Peppercura masks? He needs to glue foam in foam pads and cloth straps. And thistothat.com, one of my favorite websites.
That is an amazing website.
Only gets so specific when it comes to materials you can select. I will usually glue foam in just with hot glue.
Hot glue works. A contact cement, or that works pretty well. It depends on the type of foam you're using.
Yeah.
So.
What I will do a lot of times is if I have something that's stretchy, like an elastic, or if I have Velcro, because the back plasticky bit of Velcro is notoriously bad at gluing the stuff, I will sew that to a piece of cloth, a non-stretchy cloth, or a piece of nylon.
Leather works well too.
Or leather, yeah. Sew that piece to something that will take glue much better, and then glue that to the inside of your mask. With elastic, it's great because if you have a little patch of nylon webbing that won't stretch, and you stitch the end of your elastic to that, and then hot glue that into your mask, then when the mask stretches, that little piece that's stitched at the end will not stretch, which means it won't stretch out of the glue.
Exactly. That's the biggest problem is it's the stretch of the elastic that slowly pulls itself away from the glue, and that's what you want to avoid.
Yep. So there you go. And of course, do tests on other materials beforehand. I do this all the time. If I have a piece of plastic or whatever the material is I'm trying to glue, I'll test different glues and different types of straps on that, and then I'll pull on it as hard as I can to see if it stays or not. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, no, it's and that's honestly the best way is test it. You'll find something that works for you. high temp hot glue is a lot different than the normal hot glue most people. If you have an actual high or a hot glue or a true high temp, that stuff is a lot more adhesive than what most people think hot glue can put up with. So.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Good luck, Joseph. Next one, going from Joe Coes. As a beginner, could you describe the wet sanding process for foam?
Oh my.
I don't actually do any wet sanding. He references Will's, my shopmate. Will did a video on that. For the most part, wet sanding is necessary if you want to get a really smooth, nice finish on something, because you're using a very high grit sandpaper, and the liquid is keeping the sandpaper clear. And your surface clear of the material that you're removing.
Yeah, the only time that I ever have to implement something of that to go to a 2000, a 3000 grit sandpaper is if I'm sanding out like an imperfection in a gem surface. I will actually you go to the store, buy actual wet sanding sandpaper, make sure you get the right stuff, and I do it underneath my kitchen faucet actually. Just a real slow trickle, just so it stays lubricated, and it's just like sanding anything else. The only difference is that the water acts as both a lubricant and it helps move material away, because the sandpaper is so fine it clogs really, really quickly, and will prevent it from actually being sandpaper anymore. It just turns into paper.
As reference to Will's video, what he likes to do is he'll have like layers of paint. So he'll have like a silver color down first, and then a color like a red or whatever on top of that. And when you wet smooth your edges, it'll slowly go through the color and bring out the silver underneath to make it look like the piece has worn down to that.
So it's a distressing for a fast way to age rather than trying to apply each layer manually. Makes sense.
Yep. Give that a try. Good luck, Joe Cause.
I think it's Joe Cause.
Joe Cause. All right. Let's see. We've got another one from Facebook from earlier today. This one's from Mike, another regular. What would you say is your favorite material to work with? Is that also the material you have worked with the most? And if not, then what is? I mean, I have a handful of materials that are my favorite. It depends on what I'm making. I would say for armor, EVA foam is my favorite right now. But that's just because it's so quick for me, and I'm really good at using it. Talk to someone like Svetlana from Kamui Cosplay, and she would say Warblood, because she's really good at that, and she can build stuff really fast with it. We could probably both do the same set of armor out of 2 different materials, and both look just as good, and both get done just as fast, but we just each prefer the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that comes down to just doing the hobby, and you eventually kind of learn where your strengths are at. I know that when I'm building a costume, if it's a large piece, say a shoulder guard or something of that nature, my mind works in the nature that I prefer to remove material until I end up with the object, whereas other people prefer to build the object straight off. So I tend to favor things like pink foam, where I can carve down to the object that I want to end up with. It just kind of depends on how your mind works, too.
Right. Yeah. And then for props and stuff, right now, most of the time, I'll just use MDF and styrene, because I'm good at it and it's quick for me. The gun that I'm working on right now is a Mass Effect gun. It's very angular, so that's what I'll use. Wood and a bandsaw, because that gets me there the fastest. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, good luck.
He also says he can't wait to see more updates on the Time Lord's Regalia.
All right, so that one is that's a holdover from my brother, who's actually going to be attending BlizzCon for the first year, or first time. I finally convinced him to come out and see it and experience the wonder that is that convention. And he is a mechanical engineer by trade, so he thought, well, why not wear a costume? And I said the same thing in 2009 when I first went. So this is where he's at right now. He wanted to say, you know what? Let's build some shoulders, but I need motion. I need to see the things that you see in game.
Yep.
And boy, howdy, I didn't realize the beast that I have let loose here He's gone whole hog on this one already, and
Pretty cool.
yeah, it's that's just the start, and I can't wait to see what else he comes up with for a weapon and stuff.
Super, super cool. I'm excited to see that too.
Oh yeah, it will be most entertaining for everyone involved, I promise.
All right, here we go. This one's from Tara. How do you make weathering effects that are both durable and realistic? I'll tell you what. If you're painting stuff like a gun and you weather it with, let's say, just paint, like acrylic paints, stuff that accumulates and creases and whatnot will stay there because you can't reach it. It's not gonna pull off at all. Usually everything gets clear coated when I'm done with it. If I'm painting a space gun, I've been liking you could use a rattle can, acrylic or whatever. You can also go bonkers and use like automotive paints. If you really want it to stay in there, then that'll keep it nice and durable.
We're talking budgets at that point, so
yeah. But then of course, if the weathering, so like the edges and stuff get like highlights put on them. If that starts to wear off over time, then you can just repaint it too.
Yeah, and the weathering will kind of naturally occur depending on how you painted it in the first place.
Right.
If you do a complete coat of silver and then you go in and dry brush it, as the dry brush wears off, where your hands touch it, where you handle the prop, you'll get that natural highlights and bright spots. But, weathering is a complete art form unto itself. So, once again, you got to kind of get into it and do it and see what looks right.
I did a video recently on my YouTube channel about that, actually, where I took some props that I had built. And I've had these guns for a couple of years, and they've got some con damage, let's say. Paint's been wearing off of them. So I went and showed in the video how to sort of reapply your weathering. There's just me talking. There we go. To fix up some of it's actually real weathering.
Yeah.
But it just makes it look more dirty and more used. And then I went back in and used some of these really cool weathering powders to sort of make it even dirtier, like it's been through the war.
seen actual combat.
Yeah. And then as far as realistic goes, it's a matter of just looking at lots and lots of references and trying to match them, and then try and tell a story with the weathering that you're doing. Try and sort of examine the life that this thing has been through and where pieces would get worn, where pieces would accumulate dust, what type of dust.
Yeah.
If you're on Mars, the dust is going to be more red.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you're on Tatooine, a little more yellow, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, the best way is, and how I tend to do it is if you take, either do actually take a rag and kind of figure out where does it hang, where does it catch, and where would the rag not be able to touch.
Yeah.
The spots where it can't touch are where it's going to get dirty. I mean, if you're not breaking your guns down and cleaning each part, piece by piece, then it's just going to get a general collection of grime and all the low spots around the grips, around especially around the trigger. And it's important to actually go out and look at actual things that are dirty. Look at your car. I mean, if you don't wash it every weekend, look and see where the dirt sticks on your car.
I don't want to look at my car right now.
Yeah, well, you're on your own.
All right. We got one more here from Facebook earlier today. John says, "Hey, Bill, any tips for filming your process?"
Oh, my.
Yeah, have you done any sort of filming?
I've done a bit. Unfortunately, most of my filming tends to be converted into a time-lapse sort of video. I don't really do a lot of the step-by-step narrative like you do. I do a complete process. I'll film the whole thing, 20, 30 days worth of material, and then I'll compress it down into 6 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's more fun to watch, and I feel like I need to, put like yakety sax behind it. But and I'll do a little bit of overdub on that. But for the whole process, I think your videos tend to be a lot more informative than mine.
It's probably because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly.
First thing you want to do is make sure when you're filming you have lots of light, more light than you think you need. And you should have lots of light in the space where you're working anyway, just to be safe and so that you can see what you're working on. So generally get as many lights as you think you need and then get twice as much. I have tons and tons of lights in my shop, and I have lights that I can move with me too. I have some that I clamp on the rafters. I have some on light stands that I can point where I need them. And then remember when you're filming it, you're telling a story. If the story is how I built this thing, you want to make sure you capture enough elements to tell that entire story. But also don't feel like you need to tell every little tiny part of that story.
Please.
Because you want this to be something that is consumable in bite-sized chunks on the internet.
Yeah, you also think about the option, if you do feel like going that detailed, break it up.
Yep, break it into parts.
Don't expect anyone to honestly sit down and do a 3-hour session with you making a sword. It's as exciting as it might be to you.
Yeah.
Third party.
What I've been trying to do lately, too, is give my audience a little more credit.
Yeah, true.
I'll sort of steer them in the right direction, but they can figure this stuff out. I mean, I figured it out.
They found you on the internet, and I hear there's some tutorials on the internet.
Yeah, there's a little bit. And then what I'll do too is I can do something like, oh, here, for the materials and stuff, I'll list that in the description. I'm not going to describe all that in the video because that makes for really crappy television.
Oh, horrible! It's like having somebody read you a PowerPoint.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. No. Yeah. So consider doing that. You don't have to get everything in the video. You can direct people. You're telling a story, and then if people want to dive a little bit deeper, give them an avenue for that. And then practice a lot. Write a script for your video. What I'll do is I'll film my entire process as I'm doing it. I'll drag my camera for each part, and I'll take 30 seconds of video here, a minute there. And then, once it's all done, I film myself talking about the entire process, and I write a script for it so I don't forget anything. I'll sort of go over the whole process and write every bit down and try and remember every piece that I took. I'll look at all the footage that I have, and there's a thing, I forgot I did that, and I'll write that in my script. Because if you spent the gauntlet I made for Wizards of the Coast, that took me a month and a half to do, and there were 10 gigs of video I had to sift through to put that video together. So I sifted through all of it, and I kind of started editing it together and then writing a script for it, and then I filmed myself doing kind of the voiceover for it. And then I had 9 minutes of footage, and then I pruned it down to as close to 5 as I could to try and keep the pace going.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's the beautiful part about a video, too, is if somebody does want the information out of it, they can pause, rewind, play again, and they will get every bit that you put in there. You don't have to expect them to be, it's not like a follow-along cooking show here.
Yeah. So there you go. If you do, John, if you do put out some videos, let me know. I'll take a look at those. All right. Next one coming in live from the Q&A app from Mark. Taking the back off EVA foam when gluing to another foam piece. Is it worth the effort, and what is the best method? Meaning the texture. If you're gluing one piece of EVA foam to the next, like face to face,
texture side, the texture side, or even the flat side of the texture side, breaking up that surface is not a bad idea. Will you get bonding? If you use some contact adhesive or hot glue, yeah, absolutely, that stuff's going to stick. Is it going to be as strong? I can't honestly say. I've never really had the parts fail on me. And anytime I've had to do that bonding surface, usually it's a large surface area.
Yeah.
So
I think so. It really depends on what you're planning on doing with it. If you have 2 pieces that you're just going to stick together and then you're kind of done with it, it's probably going to be okay. I would rough up the surfaces with sandpaper and then use a contact cement to do it. If you're going to glue like several layers together and then carve them into something, I would definitely remove that texture. And I do that with a belt sander. I have a big benchtop belt sander. I'll just cut a piece out and then just hold it on there and just sort of using a dust mask for sure. And I have a vacuum system to get all the dust away. But yeah, you just sand that surface down. So you end up with a piece of foam that's smooth on both sides. Get a bunch of those and contact cement them together into a big sandwich.
Yeah.
And then carve your piece out of that.
Oh, it's similar to what I do with the pink foam, where it's just build up enough material first, and then cut out what you need.
What do you use to glue layers of the pink foam together?
When it comes to pink foam, I tend to favor the spray glues,
like Super 77.
Super 77, or if it's not going to be a high load, high structure part, I use another one called GP45, General Purpose 45.
This is stuff that 3M makes in a rattle can.
You can find it at pretty much every hobby store. I think they use a lot for like florists, for flower arrangements, stuff like that. 77 works beautifully, and 45 works beautifully. Do not go to the 90. 90 is actually the super high strength stuff, and it will melt your foam.
Yeah.
For some reason, 77 will not, even though they do tell you on the back of the can, do not use it on foam. But I don't know why. I think it's overly precautious because that stuff works beautifully.
There you go. I think I have a can of the 44 sitting around just whenever I need that.
They do make some foam-specific adhesives, but they're tougher to track down, and the 77 you can get on sale pretty much every Joann's or Michael's out there has a coupon. So
is it really?
No, that's probably like a box can. What is that? Oh, yeah. You're
$16 a can. All right.
But that one can will last me 5 or 6 projects.
Yeah.
It just depends on how much you're spraying.
Yep. And I'm sure that's something you can probably find on Amazon. All right. Thank you, Mark. Got some more coming in here. This one is from Riley about PlastiDip. What are the advantages of using PlastiDip on foam armor? Do you use PlastiDip very much?
I have used PlastiDip on 2 costumes that I can think of. One was a friend who was building a set of hooves for a Draenei.
Like you do.
Actually, no, I take it back. It was for a Soraka costume from League of Legends.
Oh, of course.
And she had carved the hooves out of foam, and we did a PlastiDip coating on them with the black PlastiDip, and came out beautifully. It actually created a great-looking kind of organic texture on the hoof, and sealed the foam, provided good protection, and worked beautifully. Not a lot of weight, but really nice finish. The other one that I've used it on is actually my Spellbreaker armor. For the Warcraft 3 Spellbreaker, I did EVA foam on the chest armor, and I ended up using it because I was looking for some gap filling. I was a little less than judicious with my hot glue application.
Yeah.
And may have melted the foam in some spots. So I was actually looking for some filling, but I found it to be very good. One of those, you got to use it, you got to play with it, buy a can, test it out. If it doesn't do what you need, make sure you practice on the on a suitable practice test piece. You know, don't throw it straight at your costume and hope it works.
Definitely test it out for sure. I know that PlastiDip has been doing some really cool things. I was just looking for it over here. With their stuff, they have clear now, which I want to try, and they have metallic PlastiDip, and that's what this was done. My friend Ben Dickinson did this for his He-Man costume. That's really cool. It's just a base coat of PlastiDip that's flexible. It protects the foam. It fills in little edges and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
What I've found with PlastiDip is you've got to use a lot of layers.
Yes.
Many layers. It's really kind of toxic, so spray it outside or in a well-ventilated area with a respirator. But you can do some really neat stuff. Oh, here's the... switch back to this thing. These are the metalizers. There's like a copper, a brass, and a silver-looking thing. Or copper, gold, and silver. Yeah, I got to get my hands on some of those and try it out.
I think I saw it at Ace Hardware had it.
Yeah.
They have a full selection.
The metal ones?
Yeah, the metalizers. Because I was buying paint yesterday, so...
Cool. Oh, and like we were saying before, too, another one, Ben tested it out. He got a bunch of scrap, and he tried all the different stuff on some foam just to see how it would turn out. He did some masking to try it out here. He's got the different colors. Yeah. Cool stuff. So, yeah, PlastiDip is kind of neat. If you want to go one step further, getting a spray gun, like a critter spray gun with some... balloon latex. I've heard a lot of people like that. I haven't tried that yet.
You got me on that one. I've not tried my hand. I've worked with foam latex, but never doing balloon latex or spray of any type.
My buddy Ted Smith, if you look up Evil Ted Smith helmet tutorial or whatever on YouTube, you'll see him talking all about that. Super cool. But essentially, it just makes a nice coating on the outside that you can then paint, and it's flexible, and it, makes it look really nice.
Yeah, it's a good protection for the foam, and it just gives you a nice what do you want to call it? Generally smooth surface to actually work on. You can use it as your actual paint colors, but I would definitely recommend a little bit of texture or wear or some more aging on it.
Sure. All right, next one coming from Tim. When you guys say foam, can you specify EVA or insulation or furniture foam, etc. Yeah, that's true. I try and keep it specific. For armor, I tend to use EVA foam because that's nice and flexible, and you can get it in different thicknesses. For doing sculptural type stuff, rigid things, that's the insulation foam. The pink stuff, or
blue,
pink or blue or whatever, it's extruded polystyrene. Furniture foam is squishy. That's more like
it's couch cushions. Upholstery foam.
Yeah, and if you need to make big animal type stuff, like my pal Holly just made a tail for her Rocket Raccoon costume, and she made that out of upholstery foam, put a wire armature inside of it, and then put fur on the outside of it. So had a lot of volume, but it wasn't rigid, and it was not heavy.
Yeah, there's the key.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, we'll do our best to clarify that from now on.
All right, Mark again coming in hot. Mario, when using Epsilon, do you use a die? Do you have to use the manufacturer's die for it? All
right, so what you're talking about is the amazing So Strong dies from
Smooth On.
From Smooth On. And the best part about that is if you do buy some of their tints, they make a sample kit which has all the colors, and there's actually a tremendous amount in there. We're talking about 1 drop per batch of whatever you're mixing. This stuff is amazingly powerful. And yeah, buy it. It's what the manufacturer recommends to go with the manufacturer's product.
Now, the So Strong you can use on both epoxies and polyurethanes and all that. That's really good to know.
You can actually use it with their urethane rubbers like I did before, because I bought their blue. Do I use it for layer? Yes, absolutely. The problem when you use Epsilon is that the material tends to look a lot like itself in both a dry and wet form. So it's really tough to see if you're going to do a second layer where you've put material down at. So buy an off color, buy a red, buy a blue, something that you can see a difference in, so you'll know the difference between your 2 layers that you do the coating on. It's really just easier and saves you some trouble for about $6 or $8, whatever a bottle of So Strong is.
Let me see here. I found it. Screen share. So Strong tints. So this is this little doodad over here is the what's it called?
Sample kit.
Sample kit. Thank you.
Yeah, saving your.
Let me see what that costs. $30. This gets you all of your colors, and like Mario was saying, a very little bit goes a very long way.
Yep.
So grab one of those and try it out. But you could definitely mix that in whatever you're casting or brushing on.
Yeah, the So Strongs are amazingly concentrated.
Yes. Don't get it on you.
No, that's probably the best advice out of this whole little segment.
Yeah.
Don't get it on you.
Okay, we got about 15 minutes left, so let's burn through the rest of these. This one's coming from Raven.
Hello.
Raven has made the Priest Tier 5 set from World of Warcraft, and the rigging connections for the shoulders connecting to the chest straps don't seem strong enough. What would you recommend to reinforce? Raven is using D-rings for hanging artwork screwed into the foam.
Ah, okay. It comes down to really how you designed your shoulders to be worn. I did a Priest Tier 8 set, and my shoulders were actually connected to themselves, if that makes any sense. They one shoulder held the other shoulder on, and they were not actually attached to my armor in any significant form or fashion. The beautiful part about that was the fact that they stayed in spot and on themselves without having to worry about stretching fabric or tearing. To glue them in place, I actually just cut a small hole and I cemented a piece of, I used some good old 5-minute epoxy, and I actually put a piece of wood into the foam that I could screw into. So I actually made a bolt position, and the shoulders were just a clasp that locked onto the other shoulder. I had to have somebody help put them on, but the end result worked out really well.
There you go. So that's it right there?
Yep. So the connection was actually underneath the collar. You can't see it because the way the costume was designed, but they bolted, or there was a metal chain that went across the front of my neck, down right about here, right about collarbone height, and one across the back of my neck that helped hold everything in place. And like I said, the shoulders were designed intentionally to stay on my shoulders with just each other holding them in place.
There you go. Good luck with your tier 5 set, Raven. I heard it's hard to get the shoulders. You gotta collect all the tokens for that.
Who was that? That tier 5's been a long time ago.
Oh wait, actually.
Wait, no, only goes to 6.
I don't remember which expansion that was from. All right, Joe wants to know, Bill and Mario, what do you prefer for building props, insulation foam or MDF?
Man, that depends on the prop. Absolutely. If you're doing something that's going to be cast, you're going to make a mold of it, you're going to do multiple castings, go MDF. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Foam tends to be a little bit tough to do those to do a master casting out of.
Right.
And you don't need the weight savings. Foam is really great if you need something lightweight, but not if you need, if you don't need that lightweight savings, then don't bother.
Mm-hmm.
There's no sense in trying to work with that.
If you have the power tools necessary, MDF is great. My preferred, if I had the time, would be to make a mold of it and cast pieces out of like a urethane resin.
Yeah.
But the gun I'm working on right now, I don't have the time for that, but I'm still making it out of MDF because I want it to be durable and I want it to last a long time. And insulation foam is awesome because it's cheap. You can work really fast for your props and stuff, but it will dent, it'll ding, and if worst case scenario, it could just crack right in half. It's not as durable.
Yeah,
but it's super cheap.
Super cheap. You
can work on it with hand tools and sculpting tools.
Yeah, a hand tool, meaning like a $3 rasp from Harbor Freight and a box of sandpaper, and you can probably get pretty close.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Joe. All right. It's Kiwi. EVA foam. Hot glue versus contact cement. Pros, cons. Any real difference? I love contact cement.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah, if I'm gluing foam to foam, contact cement is really hard to beat. If I'm gluing straps and Velcro to foam, I will use hot glue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. As you talked about earlier, with the it just depends on the purpose, and hot glue is great for the things that it can penetrate through. If it can grab into, hot glue is beautiful.
Actually, something I learned from Will, my shopmate, is that if you have a chunk of strap you're going to glue down, like a nylon webbing strap that you want to glue down to a piece of foam, on the backside of the foam where you won't see it and where it's going to attach, score the foam with a knife a little bit so that the hot glue can get in there and bite onto the thing. So you put the hot glue in, then you mash that strap on there and push the hot glue into those score marks that you made, and it will grab on there.
Oh, good lot. Yeah, that makes good sense. Yep. The more surface area you can get with any adhesive, the better it's going to be.
Oh, yeah. But other than that, for the most part, I love using that contact cement. For really teeny tiny things, I'll use super glue. But barge is awesome.
Yeah, and it's worth the trouble to try and track down. Assuming you have somewhere to work with, well ventilated, track down the yellow can of barge. We'll pull a picture here in a second. The blue one is what you'll find in most places. The yellow one is the one that I refer to as the fun version.
Yeah.
It's got all the chemicals that will cause cancer and such in California.
We don't live in California.
We're fine, yeah. So we can't get cancer from this. But that stuff is impressive, and it just gets stronger and stronger. It's designed for shoes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was meant for, was gluing the bottom of a sole onto a shoe, and after each day it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. It's an amazing material.
All right. Thank you. It's Kiwi, another regular. All right, let's see here. Mike wants to know, so Bill has been asked this a few times, for wondering minds, if time and money and resources were not an issue, what would your dream build be?
Money, time, and resources not an issue. Well, unfortunately, I kind of have to add to that with a little bit of physics might have to be broken as well. But I think if I had my absolute favorite, I would probably go... Oh, man. I would be probably going to a StarCraft Space Marine. Absolutely an amazing-looking costume. And unfortunately, every year at BlizzCon, the amazing Steve Wang, who's a model or model maker, statue, he has made an amazing one. The problem is thanks to Blizzard's artists, they have made a character who is literally a square. He is 6 foot wide by 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
If you were to measure the model, and normal human dimensions don't really fit that. But given the option, that would be a holy crap, let's do this sort of costume.
That would be pretty neat. Definitely. You'll do that someday.
Oh man, that's
sure.
You look at it and it's just so intimidating.
I've seen some pretty good ones.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know it can be done. Personally, I'm still a few years off of it.
Yeah, that's fine. You're still a youngster.
Yeah, I still got many years left in this.
All right. Thanks, Mike. All right. Let's see. Oh, Raven wanted to... Mario, I linked my work in progress album to your page if you want to check it out.
Absolutely.
Let me see if I can see that.
Let's see. Can you?
I don't know.
Maybe. No.
Is that it?
Oh, yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, there you go. See, look at that. Link back to the link back.
That's the tier 5? Oh, yeah, it looks right.
Oh, the wings. Yeah, I had those. I remember the wings. I think I cheered when I got those.
Cool. Oh, with this super rad looking staff.
Oh, good choice on the staff.
Oh, I love the winglings look really great. I love that it's like pink and yellow and purple foam.
Yes, that's the best part.
2 tiny D-rings screwed into the inside for rigging.
Yeah, it looks like your shoulders might be able to do the same thing. I don't know what the front of the dress looks like. I don't know how much is exposed. Obviously, we can reference the looks like you have a full collar on. You may be able to get away with a similar design where the shoulders are actually tied to the shoulders, and they're going to sit there. Granted, you can't do handstands or anything, but you probably weren't planning on that in the first place. So you might be able to get away with a very similar design where the shoulders...
Oh, these look fantastic.
Oh, my goodness, those are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Suddenly I have another person to like on Facebook. So, yeah, your shoulders might be able to do the same thing, and all it's going to be is a small strap that goes from one side to the other. You do need one on both front and back. Doing one on the back is just going to let them, well, roll off the back side. So
yeah, I would say if you had a strap across the front and across the back, and then even if you had also straps over the shoulder, almost like a shoulder harness sort of thing, that would definitely do the trick.
If you have to tie into your chest plate, and it looks like you built it out of foam as well, go with something that's going to have a little bit of strength. D-rings are nice, but they tend to slip over time, especially wear. It's just kind of the up and down. It tends to loosen a D-ring. If you can go with a small, like a 1-inch buckle, or even smaller, like a 1/2-inch buckle, that might benefit pretty well from you.
There you go. Cool. I'm liking Aurelius.
Aurelius.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that word. I'm liking that page because there's some cool crap going on there. And you guys should too. All right. Black Rose Thorn wants to know, what do you use to make a master if it's a knife or something like that? Again, most of the time, if I'm going to make a master for molding, I'll do for rigid sort of things, more mechanical-looking things like weapons and stuff, I'll build it out of wood and plastic.
Yep.
I like PVC sheet. I like high-impact styrene and MDF. And for more organic things, you'll sculpt those out of clay.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, it's just a matter of when you make a master, it has to survive long enough to be molded.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're looking for. You're not going to finish it. You're not going to worry about it being painted. You're making a master, which means it just has to survive the molding process, and hopefully a little bit longer than that. But yeah, your MDFs work beautifully. Your plastics work great. Heck, I've made a few things where I've salvaged parts. Like, oh, look, I need to make a gun. Here's a Nerf gun that looks really close.
Right.
Chop a handle off, take a top of a receiver, glue parts together. So long as your end result looks good, it'll mold out right.
Yep. Good and durable enough. Silicone will not bond to a surface, but it'll grab onto it. So it's possible that when you pull it apart, you will destroy the master, unless you use something fairly durable.
Yeah,
that's why I like plastics.
Yeah, the foam ribs that I had built for mine, actually, those were destroyed. Getting them back out of the mold.
Picking pieces of it out of the mold.
They were not. All the pieces were glued together with spray adhesive, and it proved to not be strong enough to remove it from the mold. So I ended up ripping the center section out, and I just kind of looked at it. I was like, well, let's hope the mold was good.
Yep.
And thankfully, it's paid off so far, and I got about 5 of those done, and I have another 20 to go.
Whee! Woo! All right. All right. Joe wants to know when the next volume of the armor smithing, the foam armor smithing.
Yeah, when is that coming out? I could use it too.
Yeah, very soon, actually. I've been rearranging some things in my schedule to make sure I can get that out. I've written about a third of it already, so I just got to set aside a chunk of time to finish that up. Yeah, but soon, before Dragon Con, for sure. So, which is another month, in a week. Ooh,
no,
too soon.
Yeah, don't start quoting time periods.
So soon.
Just say it's soon and go with that.
Yeah, soon, Joe, and I appreciate your enthusiasm. I'm looking forward to get that out to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're listening and you haven't bought it and you use foam, I mean, this thing is saving my butt on a couple of costumes I have coming up, where I read through the guide and I looked at it and I was like, why have I been doing things the hard way?
Yeah.
Like it's I mean, it just didn't dawn on me that there was a simpler way because what I had done worked.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter of time savings and that's the whole point is spread the knowledge is get another idea, another way to do it. So.
Yep. Let's see here. Antonio says that the engineeringguy.com. I'm going to pull that up here. This place has seminars in Atlanta, Georgia, for smooth-on products. TheEngineeringGuide.com. So if you're in that area, go look them up.
I think I've bought stuff from him before. Another option is if you are looking for good tutorials, Reynolds Advanced Materials. They own Smooth-On.
Mm-hmm.
They have their storefronts sometimes do lessons as well. I know the one down in not Los Angeles, but Hollywood. The one in Hollywood does molding classes.
Yeah. All right, let's grab one or two more here. It's Kiwi says, apart from the RPF, any other prop or cosplay forums that you frequent?
Huh, interesting.
If you have a specific fandom that you want to follow, for example, Mandalorian armor, like Boba Fett, the Dented Helmet is the place for that. Or TDH.
Oh, yeah.
Or Total Dynamic Head.
No, I don't think that's right. Is. No. You might want to type in the Dented. Yeah, this might have gone badly. He's Google searching and there we go.
Yeah. So look up whatever your specific fandom is. So in this case, the Dented Helmet is the place you go for Mandalorian armor. If you want, let's say, Star Wars costumes, the 501st.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if you want Halo stuff, go to the 405th. That's the Halo costuming one. So look up your specific fandom, the thing that you're making it from, and it's very likely maybe not a costuming forum, but at the very least a fan forum that might have a costuming section in it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and if nothing else, you at least get to bounce ideas off of like-minded individuals.
Yep.
So
there you go. And let's do two more quick ones, one from Alex and one from Riley, and then we'll get out of here. Where do you guys go to learn about effects makeup to go along with battle damage on armor? I don't do much makeup. I really don't know anything about makeup. That's a thing that I leave to my talented friends. If I need help, I'll have someone else do it for me.
Yeah, it really just depends on the level to which I think you want to go with your makeup effects. I mean, if you want to be missing an eyeball, that's a lot more complex than putting some cuts and scrapes in a battle scar that can actually be generated via some good Halloween makeup. Mm-hmm. It really just kind of depends on the level to which you want to climb, and to go the special effects makeup route is as complex, if not more so, than the prop and armor making line, because then you start getting a lot different materials that the techniques might be similar, but the materials are completely dynamic. So.
All right. One more. This one's from Riley. Do you have any tips for gluing fur to foam armor? I would probably use hot glue or contact cement.
Contact cement. I would stay away. I know spray glue can work, but it also depends on what it's being bonded to. If you're bonding it to something that is not going to move, like the fur and the structure are not going to have to move, or it's not going to be bearing any load, yeah, I mean, a spray adhesive can work. Once again, I know there are some, and this is probably the best option I can give you, is hunt down the people who are using costume fur, people like who do the fursuits, things like that.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to get that sort of knowledge and information from.
People who make mascots.
Absolutely. The mascots are a beautiful source. Anyone who's actually using the material you want, I guarantee you somebody's tried to stick it to whatever you're trying to stick it to at some point.
There you go. All right, thank you, Riley, and thank you everyone else for asking your questions. We're all wrapped up here. Your questions make content for the show, so we highly appreciate that.
Thank you.
I appreciate Mario being here, hanging out in the shop, and answering questions. If you want to know more about what Mario does with his super talented wife, go over to AAAcosplay.com, and you can see they do some crazy awesome stuff. You can look them up on Facebook, Arms, Armor, and Awesome. And look forward to seeing them at BlizzCon. Woo! I will be there.
Yeah.
You're going to be there. It's going to be awesome. I think, are we rooming together?
We are rooming together.
It's going to be a massive party. It's going to be amazing. All right, so we're going to get out of here, but I will see all of you guys next week with another, hopefully, super awesome guest and answer your questions. So,
woo! Thanks, everybody.
Take care, everyone. And it's in broadcast. Live.